now I'm doing this size for a size 8. Let's do it like that. I decided to use fabric so that you will not be confused. You see, I folded it into two like this. You understand? You fold it into two. When you fold it into two, then this one is supposed to be cut. You will cut it into two again. Do you get? But I'm not going to be cutting it into two. I'm just going to be folding it together, just like this. They are now into 4. You just make sure you arrange it properly. Now my material is properly arranged. So now the first thing I will do is to measure my shoulder. I'm already aware that this length is okay for my client. I'm already aware. That's why I'm not measuring it. This length is 42. Any length you want to use, just measure it from up like this. Anywhere you want to stop, you end it. Me, I'm ending this in this 41. This is where I'm ending it. Do you get? That's the first thing you measure. So the second thing you measure is the shoulder. The shoulder of your client. You see, for a stretchy material, remove 1 inch if possible from the shoulder of your client. For a stretchy material, remove 1 inch from the shoulder of your client. The natural shoulder that you measure her, the normal shoulder that you measure for Ankara or Ashwebi, remove 1 inch if it is stretchy material. So for this one that I am cutting, the shoulder of this person should be 7.5 or so, or maybe 8. Yes, it should be 8 because I'm using bust 37. The person's bust is 37, while the person's waist is 30, and the hip is 39. So now I am going to be cutting it now. The first thing I measure is shoulder. Her shoulder is 16. That should be 8 because if I divide 16 by 2 will give me 8, and this is the 8 here. So I'm going to use 7 instead of 8. This is 7 that you are seeing here. I mark it. From here, mark 8 like this. We are marking 8 because of the style we are making. Assuming it's not that style, you can see the shoulder, the armhole of that dress is wide, even though the other one is not wide, but the other side is wide. You understand? So just take this 8 because I'm still going to reduce it, but just take this 8 straight like this. Then you measure 1 inch here, just for the curve. You want to get a curve, then you get it. Please cut it away. This is why I told you I'm going to reduce here. I'm reducing here now because I want to bring it down. It's too up. Just small. Just reduce it small because you don't want the shoulder to be facing up. You want it to come down, like slope, like this. Shoulder slope. They call it shoulder slope. So the next thing you consider is the half length of your client. This half length I'm talking about is not under bust though. My client under bust is 13. This 13. This is under bust where her breast end. If you measure from shoulder, where her breast end. I'm using the exact measurement. I'm not adding anything. This is the 13 that you're seeing here. This is 13. Then I will count 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 here. But if your client has your waistline, her waistline, from her shoulder to her waistline, you can measure it so that you know what this measurement gives. But me, I use this measurement for everybody and it's always perfect. After her under bust, I measure, I count 1, 2, 3, 4. These are under bust here. I count 1, 2, 3, 4. I get what I want. So once I get it, the next thing I do is to measure her bust. You know, I told you her bust is 37. That's 9.5. Sorry, because 37 divided by 4, that's 9.5. I'm supposed to use 9.5 here. No, I will use 8.5. This 8.5 here. And this material is not too stretchy for me, for my liking. It's just normal. So it's stretching, but not too much compared to some materials I work with. So that's why I'm using, instead of 9.5, I'm using 8.5. Sometimes you can even use 8 depending on how stretchy the material is. In fact, some materials are super stretchy that you can even use 7 or 7.5. Remove as many as possible. I told you, for a very stretchy material, remove 3 inches, but a material that is stretching moderately, 2 inches is okay, or 1.5 inches is okay. You will know the type of material you're working with before you start to remove 1 or 2 things from the measurements. So now this is the bust. I have it 8.5. Make sure it's 8.5. Don't let it be more than 8.5. You mark it. Then don't mark her waist here. These are under bust. You don't want to snatch her under bust. You are snatching her waistline, which is this line here. So you measure it. Her waist is 30. That's almost 7, almost 8. It's almost 8. So I'm going to use 6.5 here. 6.5. So just mark it straight and connect it. Just mark it straight like this and connect. So from here, just measure 7. So you know where her hip will be sitting. So this is the hip, and her hip here is 39. That is almost 10. That's the measurement of 39. That's almost 10. Some people call it 9.5, but I call it almost 10 because it's more than 9.5. So now I will be using 8.5. This is it here. I mark it. Then I connect this one with this one. And according to my style, this style is just straight down. Straight down. That's the style. So now the next thing you do is to cut it out. Cut exactly on the line. This is it. This is what we have. Then here I'm just trying to straighten the down part. This is what we have. Do you get? So at this point, measure the neck. The neck that we're seeing there is a very small neck. Just use 2.5 here. 2.5. Mark 2.5. Then just come down by 1 inch. Most times I don't measure what I sew, so that's why I'm actually measuring it. So just mark it by that 2.5. Come outside. This shoulder is not giving me that curve because I removed the bust after I took the bust. So I just curve it so I can give me that bust, that armhole shape. That's just it. You are done with it. This is like me cutting the front and back together. So now I'm going to remove the back. I'm removing one. This is what we have now. So this one, open it up. This is the upper part. So check it. Where is the left side? Don't make mistake here. Make sure you use the left side successfully. So you're going to place the other one on it. Wrong side facing each other. This is the wrong side, and this is the wrong side here facing each other. This is it. One good thing about this thing is that you should make sure that you do it very well so that it will be easy for the person to wear, and make sure that the material you're using is stretching. Do you get? So now I'm placing wrong side facing wrong side, and now if I put it on my body, this will be my left side, and this is the left side we want to work with. So before you work on that, let's cut the front neck. Let's cut the front neck. Front neck, for that kind of turtleneck, from this shoulder, take 3.5. Let me remove this so you can see it well. From this shoulder, take 3.5. This is 3.5 here that I've marked. Then you just curve it to the neck, so you have a round neck here. This is it. This is the round neck you have here. So now place it. I've automatically turned this to my front pattern. So place this now on top of this. It will be like this. It will be like this. Place this on top of this. So now the next thing you are going to do now is to measure according to the style. We are going to be making use of this armhole that is here. Any design you want to make. So I'm just going to measure it and make sure that I'm using 8 as the armhole here, like where the armhole will end. Because according to that style, the breast part is exposed a little. As I'm doing this video, I cannot see the style very well, but I know I've made that style before, so I know how it is. So just come like this from this neck. Let me measure how many inches. Depending on what you're seeing in the picture, this is like 1.5 that I measured. 1.5. So now it came from the middle. I just went to check where this one ended. So This is the middle. Make sure you have the middle of this lace. Make sure you have the middle. Mark the middle so you not pass the middle. So now you just take this now from here, just like this. Again, so from here you just take it like this. Then I'll meet it up with this line here. I wish I had this style looking at me here. Just take it from here like this. So you cut it out. At this point I don't cut exact line because I would turn this lace. I will not want it to be too wide when I'm turning it. So that's why I don't need to take the exact chalk that I marked. So I just give small space for turning. So this is it. Now it's sewing time. Just try as much as possible to follow this video so you will know how I'm able to sew it, because it's not everything I will be able to explain. So the first thing I'm doing is to join the shoulders together. You just join it, but make sure you are stretching it while you are sewing, please. I will also join the other shoulder. The reason why I'm saying you should stretch it because you want to avoid that stutter sound when your client wears the dress. So now I just cut a band like 1 inches to be able to pipe the armhole and everything. So now I'm just going to pipe the armhole, but I'm sewing from the back to the front. But also make sure that you're stretching it. Don't forget while you're sewing it. So I'm just going to pipe the armhole. So once I'm done sewing it from the back to the front, I'm just going to cut out excess because I don't want the rope to be too much, because I want it to be like bias form. So I'm just notching the armhole so that I'll be able to come out well. So now the next thing now is to fold part of the band inside and fold it down, then stitch it. That's what I'm doing. This is called piping. So I'm just trying to pipe the armhole. So in the process of doing it, also try to be cutting out the excess, all those ones that are too much. The allowance inside, you cut it to make sure that you're getting it right, and stretch it. Don't forget, very important. If you don't stretch it, no matter the needle that you're using, because this needle now is a stretch needle, but if you don't stretch it while you're sewing, it will still cut. Just make sure you stretch it while you are sewing. But this needle sews stretchy fabrics perfectly. If you want to buy it, I sell. Just come to my DM and I will sell for you. So now I'm also getting the other band ready for the piping of the other curvy part. So this curvy part now, you have to make sure you follow the curve part properly. Just raise your machine up at that point, then turn and continue to sew it. Just normal sewing. Make sure you are sewing it very well. Just make sure you're following the shape of the armhole. You know, this particular armhole is like a style. So it has like too many corners, too many curves. So just make sure you follow it. So at this point, we are almost done. Just continue watching, you will get it. So now I'm trying to notch all those edges, all those curvy parts, because you need to notch it. If not, they will not come out properly. So you just take your time to notch them. So after notching, you cut the excess. You don't want to have too much allowance inside. Now this is the time you fold it inside, then bring it down to stitch it. So in the process, I'm just trying to cut out any excess so that I will have a perfect piping. So now you make sure you do this lace very well. When you get to that curvy part, you kind of stretch it a little so that it will be able to pass very well, conveniently. I forgot to wish you guys happy new year. This is like my first video I'm posting this year. I've been very busy. I went home for Christmas and New Year, so you'll be seeing beautiful educative video as from today. You see, as I'm sewing, I am cutting out the folds inside, the ones that are too much. So now we are done. So it's remaining the neck. So for the neck, you just have to take your time so that you'll be able to get it properly. So you just also get a band, but this time around, just let the band be like 2 inches or 2.5 inches. So depending on how you want the neck to be, you know, it's a turtleneck and we are following a style. So this is 2.5. So when I fold it into 2 to be like more than 1 inch, so that's what I have. So I'm going to start from the middle of the back. If you start from the middle of the back, you don't start from beginning, you leave some inches. You will know why I left some inches now. So what I'm trying to demonstrate here is I'm trying to tell you that at the beginning where you are sewing to the neck, you stretch it a little. You kind of stretch it a little so that it will be able to be curved according to the neck. So that's why you see that the neck will be relaxed properly without any poking or any folds. It will relax properly. Why some people will sew this type of neck, it will just be hanging. It will not hug the neck. I want the neck to hug the person's neck. That's why I'm stretching the beginning part. You stretch it with the main neck, with the main fabric neck, so you'll be able to get exactly what you want. So while you are sewing, you just make sure that you are stretching it, curving your hand in the normal way you should. You'll be able to get it. So now that back, what I did was I removed it. When I get to the back, that space that I left, I just cut it out. I measure it and cut it out. Then I will be able to sew it. Remove your machine and you will sew it. The reason for this is that I want the sewing to be inside and not outside. So I don't just want to place the band together and sew it. No, I want to open it wide and sew it so that when I fold it into 2, like the way we are doing it, the sewing will be inside. That's the reason why I had to remove it and sew that part and continue my sewing. So at this point, after sewing, you just cut out the too much allowance that you have, the excess allowance. You cut it out so that it be neat. The neck, you are supposed to weave it after you are done sewing it. That's the normal thing. You weave it when you are done. So now the next thing is to arrange it properly and sew the sides. We already have our measurements that we are working with. We already cut the measurements according to what we want. So you just sew normal sewing, just the same way you sew normal sewing. Just make sure you follow the shape and you stretch while you're sewing. Very important. I stretch it at this fabric. This needle will sew it perfectly well. So if you need it, you can come to my DM. I sell. It's 5K for industrial. Then the manual machine, that one is 35. So you sew it. Don't forget to leave that space for the slits. That's if you want it. If you don't want it, you can sew it finish according to how you want. So now I'm going to sew the sides inside. You can weave it and fold it once. That's the best. But even though as I'm folding it once like this is a tutorial, it's not for a client, but you can decide to weave and fold, or you do it like this if you're in a hurry. So now the down part, you can fold it twice, or you weave and fold. But I prefer to fold it twice, that down part. It makes it look like already made. So that's why I like to fold it twice. As you're folding, stretch it. It's not like when the person wants to enter Okada with this dress, you'll not be hearing all those starter sound. Please stretch it while you're sewing it. So now at this point we are done. So you notch that waistline. I like to notch it so that it will just come out perfectly well. Understand? So it's time to iron.